Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Society. The rich have always fed off the poor.
Directed by Brian Yuzna, starring Billy Warlock, Devin DeVasquez, Evan Richards, and Patrice Jennings. This movie's about Billy, a troubled, paranoid youth who thinks something strange is happening within his family. As he digs deeper, he finds the dark truth hidden in society. This is actually a recommendation from Patreon from David Corley, who won our monthly movie raffle where you get to pick any movie for us to review. And Society is one that's been on our list for a while, and I'm glad we had that extra little push, to be honest. So thank you, David. Now, what do we like about Society? First and foremost, we might have some spoilers in this because there's some unavoidable spoilers that happen that are the reason why this even has a cult status, in the US at least, because some funky shit happens. But we're not gonna start with the ending, we're gonna start with just the story in general. I think is pretty cool because you've got Billy who's just super paranoid. Something's obviously happening at his house because his creepy ass family's getting all incestual.
We're just one big happy family, except for a little incest and psychosis.
And so you're kind of along with this kid as he's trying to figure out what the hell is happening, and as people kind of try and guide him in the right direction, they start getting killed off. And then you get super suspect and you try and figure it out yourself. And you never will.
Which brings us to the characters in this film. We did have a good variety of characters and everyone did a good job.
How do you like your tea? Cream? Sugar? Or do you want me to pee in it?
Billy Warlock did a great job playing Billy. He was believable in everything that he was doing. You felt his paranoia as he was progressing throughout this film. On top of that, you had like his best friend, Milo. Milo was a really cool guy who would help him out. And then you have Clarissa, who was a babe in this film. Definitely trying to get Billy's attention from start to finish.
She was pretty good at that. She had my attention, especially with that basic instinct move.
I don't know how Milo didn't fall for that trap. He saw what was going on there, and he's just like, hey, Bill, that's trouble.
That's exactly how an 80s person would say it, too.
And you had like your antagonist in like Ted Ferguson. He was like the guy who like you hated. Or Martin.
What are you gonna do, rig the election or something?
You don't have to. Martin, he was born to lead.
I didn't like Martin, little Poindexter.
Yeah, he was like the nerd sidekick to Ferguson. And on top of that, you have both the psychiatrist and the judge, who are definitely seeming kind of creepy. Especially that judge always smoking his cigar. You know, anyone who smokes a cigar in any 80s movie, or even early 90s movie, they're criminals. They're doing something weird.
But even all the situations that the characters are put in, it made the movie interesting because as you're following Billy throughout this film, you're trying to figure out who is on whose side, especially with Clarissa's character, because you didn't know if she was good or bad. It kind of creates a red herring effect, and it makes you think that she's in on it the whole time, or she's just being a really good person and wants to save Billy.
Don't go home, Billy.
Don't go home. Are you kidding? They want me home. It's time to party hardy.
Like, even though this movie was an hour 40, so it's a little bit longer than we're used to, I was completely interested because there's so many weird things happening. For example, eating an apple with worms in it, or Clarissa's mom eating hair. There's just all these micro situations that you're like, wait, what the hell is happening in this? And so you always have this like slight uneasiness about everything. To couple that with the incest, and well, it builds up to one hell of a finale, and the finale is fantastic. And it's the reason why this is such a popular film. So if you haven't seen it, turn off the review, or not. You're not gonna do that and come back, so don't turn off the review, stay. We need that watch time. Basically, this is almost a commentary on how, like, the upper class feed on the lower class.
The rich have always sucked off low-class shit like you.
And that's what like the end of this is. They all have this big weird orgy that they look like they're all made of plasticine. Bunch of Gumby motherfuckers sticking together. Their mouths like vacuuming to each other and just getting stuck and just skin melding together. And it's just so strange and weird. And we can't forget about the infamous butthead.
I guess you're right. I am a butthead.
They did a great job on the practical effects, and it was pretty grotesque. Like when you're seeing all like the sweat and the goop and like the body parts or just the bodies just like merging together, it looks really good. And they did a great job with these practical effects.
We actually watched some of the behind the scenes with Brian Yuzna, and he said that he kind of started with this concept. He's like, I want to make this scene, and then he reverse engineered how they could get from point A to point B. So he had some kind of loose script about a cult. He's like, well, you know, this is what I'd like to end with, so we'll just figure it out. And I'm glad he did that. This movie's just wacky. Like, there's a lot of mystery, great practical effects, and like, even just like the tone, like even when they walk into the orgy, the lights go like red and you know you're in for some shit.
And I enjoyed the dialogue in this film. I thought it was very classic.
Now, what didn't we like?
I actually kind of have a problem with the ending. They left with no problems whatsoever. I feel as though in that situation, the society easily could have prevented them from leaving if they really wanted to eat Billy.
I think he proved that he could not be eaten. He could not be fucked with. He'll turn your whole society inside out.
It's like the villain trope. Or the villain lets the good guy get away when he easily could have just finished him off.
It's showtime, Billy!
I didn't like Clarissa's mom. She kind of like just had this weird presence about her. There were things happening throughout the movie that were kind of weird, and then once you saw her, you're like, okay, what the hell is going on here? If they would have excluded her, the ending would have been like even crazier because it wouldn't have been as like comedic, I guess.
Yeah, and the odd thing about this is Clarissa is a part of society. They stated that, oh, we come from like a lineage of like the same family. So that means Clarissa's mom was also a part of society, but she clearly wasn't. So it's weird how that all ties in.
Based on the commentary that we heard from Brian Yuzna, he also didn't know. He's just like, well, we just had her. I have no idea. There's no explanation for the hair. Whatever. We don't have to explain everything. It was just a stream of consciousness, he says. Sure, okay. Anyway, I didn't really dig it.
It was fine as like a one-off gag. Maybe just like Billy running into her at the beach, but then to actually make her a character, but not establish why she's around, that's what makes it odd.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Society is an interesting and strange movie, but it is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself watching this, even though I know the ending of this movie. It's very popular. It's on the front cover of the Blu-ray, and the only reason people ever talk about it is because of the ending. But even knowing the ending, I think a lot of people would still enjoy it. The characters are fun. The situations that they're put in are interesting, and you're always going to be trying to figure out what's happening, who's on what side, and how is Billy going to get the hell out of this. So I'm going to give this 4 money shots on the beach out of 5.
This film was a lot of fun, not only because the final scene is just so random and weird that it will stick with you for a long time, but all the characters and the situations that they're put in throughout this movie really makes it entertaining. It has you guessing who's good, who's evil. It has you rooting for Billy from beginning to end, and you just have a lot of fun with the film. Though I do have my issues with how the film actually ends with them getting away no problem. I kind of felt that there should have been more of a challenge, but it doesn't really take away from the movie. It's still a great time, and I highly recommend it. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4 the real LeBrons out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, I highly recommend the Arrow release. Links are in the description. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out the Patreon. Link also in the description, where you can enter our monthly movie raffle. And you can choose any movie for us to review. Check out the other rewards too. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.